Kotan, c'est qui ça dit nous toute bagaille kotan. Et pas moi, et pas ou, mais c'est Itoma James. Nous ni c'est Glenroy Toussaint, il a local government, il c'est local government commissioner, c'est qui en charge ces villages council avec toute bagaille contre yo. Comme ça tous ces départements ça là qui collaborer pour faire certain que nous en Dominique nous préparer en de gamme là nous supposé préparer pour petit temps ça là qui venir tout de suite. Ok, à nous aller en studio day, di spécial bon après-midi pour ces trois noms là qui est nous en studio. Good afternoon. Comme on dit, nous kay parler anglais, nous kay parler créole. Ça qu'a fait les hommes. How are you, gentlemen? Welcome to Experience Creole/English. How are you guys doing? Welcome.
Good afternoon to you, Kewana.
Yes.
And good afternoon to your many listeners. Those listening in English and in Creole.
And the viewers, eh?
And viewers, sorry.
Oui, puis sur Kagade.
Or GIS.
And GIS as well. Good afternoon to you, Mr. James.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Kewana, and good afternoon to all our listeners. Let me just start by apologizing for not being able to speak the Creole language.
I'm wondering if we should accept his apology, gentlemen.
Well, I'm trying my best to make sure that we can at least get the information that is necessary.
And we appreciate
the best
that.
way that I can do it.
Yes, we appreciate that. We appreciate your presence here today because the information is very, very important to our listeners and viewers. Mr. Glenroy Toussaint, chef gouvernement local, ça qu'a fait?
Moi là, bon après-midi bon après-midi pour tout le monde qui a écouté, tout le monde qui a regardé, DBS Radio, nous la pour information pour aider nous toutes qu'on nous a préparé pour mauvais temps.
C'est pour ça, that's why you're in the middle. You're smack in the middle, Mr. Toussaint.
Yo mettez-moi là, so I will représenter de ce qui passe par les créoles, so balancer ba yo.
OK, tu enduit.
Oui.
OK, translator.
Moi j'ai fort dans créole mais moi ça chebe point moi.
Well, let me just start by speaking to Mr. Fitzroy Pascal. We are here to give information to the public about the development of a tropical wave, which is projected, in the coming days. Mr. Pascal, tell us about the current plans or preparedness ongoing for this.
So, as you rightly said, Kewana, there's a tropical wave in the central Atlantic, about 1,400 miles east of the Les Antilles. The National Hurricane Center has said that this wave will develop or strengthen into a storm or possibly a hurricane by the time it reaches the island chain. That is sometime Sunday, Monday. Mr. James will speak more to that. So we saw it necessary to come on to speak to the general public and the viewing public on this weather system to provide first-hand information from the official relevant government agencies. The national system is in a state of readiness. We have been meeting, and actually we had a meeting earlier on this morning with all the subcommittees, the chairs of the subcommittees. We have alerted all the relevant agencies, including our hierarchy, that is the members of the NEPO, the advisory committee of the NEPO. That would be the chairman, who is the Honorable Prime Minister, also the deputy chair, the Minister for National Security, and the rest of the cabinet colleagues and the permanent secretaries. So we are here today to speak to the nation on this developing weather system. Like I said, we met earlier on with the subcommittees, and they are generally in a state of readiness. So we are here now to continue empowering persons in Dominica with information so that they can be better prepared and plan appropriately for safety and security of their well-being. And I will elaborate on that a little more in the program.
Thank you so much, Mr. Itoma James. Can you provide an update on the projected weather system approaching us right now?
Okay, so The National Hurricane Center and the Dominica Meteorological
You have to
Service.
bring your microphone a little further. Closer.
Yes, sorry. The Dominica Meteorological Service is really monitoring a tropical wave currently in the tropical central Atlantic. This system has 100% chance of developing today into either a tropical depression or tropical storm. So we are monitoring the system and its progress. The system is located about 1,400 miles east-southeast of the Windward Islands and is moving at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. On this current speed, it should be in or around the Windward Islands by late Sunday night into Monday. The projections from the National Hurricane Center indicating that this system will indeed develop and strengthen. So we can expect that at some point that the Dominica Meteorological Service in collaboration with the NHC would be issuing a tropical watch or warning. Could be issuing a tropical storm watch or warning anytime from Saturday morning or probably later, depending on how the system upgrades. We have to take into consideration also that there is always the level of uncertainty with these storms. It is traditionally, these systems are a bit more tricky to predict on their track and intensity when there are still tropical waves. But all of the indications so far are really indicating that this system will develop. As to how strong it may develop into and what it may develop into, we are not 100% certain, but development is expected, and as such we should be prepared. So Dominica may need to be placed under tropical storm watch or probably higher, depending on what amount of development or strengthening takes place. With the storm, we can expect anywhere between 2 to 4 inches of rain. This rainfall, like we know traditionally in Dominica in areas of higher elevation and on our east coast, may tend to have higher amounts of rainfall. So people in these areas need to at least start making preparations if they have not. If you have your rivers, your drains and those different things not cleared, you should try to do so, because regardless of how strong the system is, we already understand that rainfall can pose a lot of risk to us. So we need to start taking those things into consideration. For our mariners, our sea folk, the fisher folks, we are issuing a bit of a special alert to them because we have a tropical wave passing through tomorrow based on our forecast, which will start to make the sea conditions deteriorate a bit. After which we have an approaching possible tropical storm which will make further deteriorations in sea conditions. So if you have small crafts that may need to be brought ashore because of what the sea conditions may deteriorate into, we urge you to start making your preparations and have things in place so that you can do that also.
Okay. Quickly, are we speaking about two different weather systems approaching?
Yeah, so I mean we are in the hurricane
No,
system.
but I know you mentioned one on Saturday and one approaching.
Yes, so based on the forecast that we have currently, tomorrow we expect to have some rain.
Some rain.
And some weather conditions that will be as a result of an approaching tropical wave.
Okay.
We have the tropical wave, which is the potential tropical storm, which should be approaching us by Monday, at least. I mean, we may not want to confuse everybody, but we understand that this hurricane season, as we have been on the radio saying previously, is expected to be very active, because even after the potential tropical storm on Monday, we do have another potential tropical storm that might pass through the Lesser Antilles again on Wednesday. That one doesn't show so much potential to develop into a tropical storm as this moment, but it is still far out and there are still possibilities.
Okay.
So we just trying to urge everybody to make sure that all your preparations are being done. We understand that for government workers, at this point is Friday and you may not have time to come into work on Saturday or Sunday to try to secure your equipment and those different things. So we also urge the government employees that when you're leaving work today, if you have to make sure that your windows are closed and your equipments are covered, that you can also do so, because there is the possibility that there's a tropical storm that could be affecting the country, and on Monday you may not have the time to do so.
And someone is just asking, it's serious like that, no? Is that serious?
Well, Kiwana, what I I really don't like to be the person to try to incite fear into people. But the Met Office, the ODM, the government of Dominica and a whole have been trying to let the general public understand that preparedness is key. So if you are prepared for the systems that are possible, then there's no reason to be fearful. You just need to put your plans into action so that whenever or if ever anything happens, you are prepared, and your preparedness will help to quell any sort of fear that you may have. We understand that these systems can be devastating, but if you prepare and you have everything that you need to have in place, you know your emergency routes, you have your emergency kits, you secure your homes, all of these things will really and truly make these situations a bit smoother.
Ouais. Mais comment dire plus bonnet, préparation c'est toujours important. Là, vous préparez, ou ça préparer pour n'importe possibilité qui va venir au-dessus nous. C'est pour ça que moi, je voulais Monsieur Glenroy Toussaint, in English if you may, if you wish, to explain how is the local government collaborating with the different agencies to prepare or respond to this possible threat of this tropical wave.
Okay, I think the central theme, quand nous parlons, ça m'a fait, m'a parler créole, et puis m'a parler anglais.
La créole,
la créole la décalé mot, m'a foutre anglais. mais quand I tourne avec Fix ID, il est nécessaire pour monde ça fait préparation. Nous supposons déjà fait préparation nous depuis décembre l'année passée.
Oui.
So décembre, janvier, nous supposons faire préparation nous. Et bien nous faire préparation nous comme individuel, comme on peuple comme où, right, comme famille, comme village, et bien comme pays là même.
Oui.
Préparation ça c'est ça nécessaire. So nous parlons contre commune là, village là. Right? À village là, on est à l'autre village, nous sommes qui est disaster management committee. Et presque un gros comité à nous pour national programme là à Dominique. Et c'est au niveau responsabilité là pour assurer yo fait ça qui est nécessaire pour aider ces villages là préparer. So on est éducation, quand éducation on dit ça on pour faire, il dit ben compte kit, on est pour ça on est c'est ça on est pour faire avant. Donc on est pour papa, on est pour ça on est pour faire avant. Right? Ça on est pour faire avant mauvais temps, là on est mauvais temps là et après mauvais temps là. Mais ça qui est plus important, c'est ça on fait avant mauvais temps. So préparation ça bien important. So nous ka dit on est ça nous ka qui un low disaster management committee en ces communes là, en ces villages là, et yo ni responsabilité là pour mener tout monde dans village là ensemble pour qui yo préparer. So préparer comme famille ou préparer comme un village. Et quand on m'a dit, nous pas ni pour faire parce que depuis nous Dominique, et depuis juin pour novembre nous calé ni bagay ça.
Et même si vous payez non,
et même si vous payez ça fait.
C'est cool temps que fini quand même.
Bon,
la pas qu'à empêcher
nous pas ni pouvoir là pour gêner ça venir, il est venu.
Fear will not prevent their
bon, so it's not going to prevent it ça pas qu'à gêner venir, il est venu. So nous pour make balancer, mon côté négatif dit toute l'année. Responsabilité c'est en nous toutes.
Oui. Ou
à son on monde on peuple on est responsabilité là pour faire ça qui est nécessaire. Ou pas ni pour respirer parce que là c'est pas persécution mais tout au longtemps moun kan respecter le gouvernement pour faire tout bête gouvernement dit pour faire ça ni pour faire. Nous apprendre ça. Mais aussi moun ni pour faire ça qui est nécessaire parce que la vie c'est la vie ou ni pour faire ça qui fait pour protéger la vie ou so ça qui fait c'est important pour mon réaliser il est nécessaire pour ou faire ça qui est nécessaire pour protéger la vie ou et ben cyclone qui vient comme on a dit ça pas bagaille neuf pour nous là depuis nous connaître comme depuis mon fait cyclone qui vient nous savent juin pour novembre c'est cyclone ça nous pour faire c'est faire préparation nous gros bonheur. So nous pas supposé par exemple, nous pas supposé qu'à courir supermarket gagner toute qualité bité fini supermarket. Nous supposé ni certains bagaille, nous savons bagaille red pas tout monde qui ça faut tout bité, mais aussi supposé un petit bitin là, un petit can bagaille là, un petit viande sortir un petit bitin là. Ta glossé à ci côté là. Pas fait non parce que l'autre monde qui a fait ça avec les vignes qui a dit oh yo fait moi servir toute l'argent moi et rien pas venir on ti glo nous taper moi là moi fini pièce pour pas nous finir l'argent ou ka penser en préparation ou supposé mettre petit bagage à ça si deux ti viande en sortir mettez moi ça quatre viande en sortir de l'autre mois bagage comme ça ti biscuit ou ti glo ti bouteille glo ou ni là avec là, vous faites type de ça,
Temps passé.
les temps
Pas
la
vie
venir.
relâché.
Ou pas ni pour courir un supermarché gagner combien les fines fonce, combien sick, combien diwi. Et mon gars, j'ai gagné viande, oui. Et si il n'y a pas de comment on va faire viande là, on ne pas filer.
As someone is saying on the live, I don't ever take these systems lightly.
Okay.
She
And they
never
should
takes right.
And they should not. They should not. And that is why I want to mention, if I switch to English.
Oh yes, and easily. Go
That's
ahead.
why I want to mention the importance of building individual, community, and national resilience.
Right.
Because these things are going to come. Don't take it lightly because these things have a mind of their own, you know. I mean, Itoma will tell you, for example, yes, based on the trajectory, it is likely to this and that. But these things do, you know, they do what they want to, you know, we have no control over what they do. And so what we have to do, the control we have is the efforts that we put in terms of our preparedness and protecting our lives, to some extent our property,
Right.
and by extension the country. So don't take, nous pas personne, pas pour ça comme si c'est akay vini ça pas rien. Et nous ka pour ça, on pour ça sérieux, on pour préparer comme dit ça kay vini lady Dominique nous ka taper on cyclone Dominique.
Oui.
Pas
So-
vini, oui nous pas vle vini ou ça.
Right.
Mais nous ka dit faire préparation là pour cyclone ka vini. Si pas vini, merci bon Dieu.
Right. Mr. Fitzroy Pascal, how can the communities best prepare for the potential threat or impacts of this system that is approaching?
Before I answer directly, I will just go to what we have been doing in terms of empowering the citizenry. So we have been going to schools, we have been going to communities. Up to last night, we were in Point Michel together with the Med Service. We have a radio program every Tuesday. It's called Disasters and You, where we invite relevant partners and we speak disaster management. So we have been going around trying to spread this public education and for citizens to adopt disaster management as a lifestyle. I mean, I cannot fully understand what what Glenroy was saying, but I think he was saying that year-round the citizens should be prepared. And we, at the ODM, we don't only look at hurricanes. I know we came here to speak about that weather system, but we also look at all hazards. And for some persons, I think there was a 7.2 earthquake in Peru this morning. Dominica had a 2.7 on Thursday morning at 4:36. So some people felt it and some
Oh, yes, I heard about that,
did
right.
not feel it. So we live in a multi-hazard environment. So we have to be prepared year-round. So we have been going around in the communities and any other opportunities we get to spread disaster management island-wide. So we really want people to embrace disaster management. And in terms of your question, we want people to plan ahead. And as Glenroy said, do not wait for when the system is knocking on our door. Preparation should have been done long in advance. So we're asking persons to be prepared for systems, ensure that, and I call them the S's, ensure that for your safety and security, you look at your surroundings, you look at your structure, you look at your supplies, having 72 hours worth of supplies in terms of medication, cash, flashlights, batteries, these simple things, they will go a long way. And Glenroy is there as the emergency chair shelter for shelter subcommittee. So he will speak to shelter management. So we want to encourage people to know your evacuation routes, and Mr. Itoma James mentioned that earlier. And the national system is there to support everyone. And Glenroy said it too. We're looking at individuals, we're looking at families, so have your family plans. We're looking at the communities where we have the community committee disaster management persons. We have the district, we have them at the district level. So we're looking at all tiers of the system, and the national system is there to support.
Right. But Fitzroy, not Fitzroy, Mr. Glenroy Toussaint, given the dynamic nature of these weather systems and so on, we should be speaking about shelters today, right?
Oh yes, was definitely.
We should be preparing the listeners and viewers to head to a shelter and know your shelter in the event of that storm.
I would say know your shelter for
I
now.
think
For now.
for now, know your shelter.
Know your
For now, know your shelter.
No,
Okay.
connect shelter. Yeah. Pakadi ali.
Do pagadi nou
ale.
ale.
No, ali.
Connect là,
oui.
ok.
Oui,
Right.
parce que ça bien important,
Right.
shelter ça bien important parce que ça ou ka fait. les cyclones qui viennent, ça nous lève, c'est nous pas nous la mort. Si le cyclone vient nous pas la mort, ça bon ça.
Oui.
Oui, ou c'est caillou défoncé avec bagaille comme ça, galvanage aller, ou ça nous savons ça. Mais là nous nous la mort, ça mauvais même, ça plus twist.
Yeah.
Parce que on est monde qui mort, mais on est famille, c'est monde ça ni famille avec yo, ka grieve, on est toute qualité grieve, c'est fait comme ça. So nous ka créer qui c'est important, so là nous ka parler contre shelter pour l'année ça qu'on nous ka fait tous les années. Pour l'année ça là, nous ka couvert un Dominica avec shelter avec nous ni 104 shelters, 104 shelters. Tout en Dominique. Right? Il y a certains côtés Dominique, nous pas ni shelter là en village là, mais nous désigner en certains côtés. So nous bagay kon côté comme Mewo qui pas ni shelter mais nous pour aller Saint Joe. Taou pour aller shelter, original shelter là en Jemit. Nous ni moun kon moun not Goudou, moun not Tissoufrière, moun not Saint-Sauveur pour aller shelter là nous ni en Cassibrousse. Original shelter là Cassibrousse. Et nous si moun Koliho pour aller shelter là en Layou. So nous ni moun en Layou Park Sultan pour aller shelter là en Jemit. So nous faisons un arrangement ça là pour nécessaire nous ca couvrir tout le monde pour tout le monde savent ça qui shelter yo que c'est important avec moi le dis pas ça on est pour connaître pour now actuellement connaître ça mais aussi pour savoir ça on est pour faire parce que nous le monde qui venir nous ni ka dire l'autre monde qui venir avec yo ni la yo kan bagay rien la même pas rien.
So you're speaking about the rules and regulations.
No, we're talking about the expectation of persons who have made the determination to go to the shelters.
But they also need to know the rules and regulations of the shelters.
Well, we come into that.
Is in connection.
So
Don't come with your hands swinging.
Do not come with your hands swinging.
Okay.
At least come with, as I said, in preparation, you have your kit. So,
Right.
vous venez avec disaster kit, vous venez avec yon de bouteille glow, vous venez avec biscuit, vous venez avec bagay pour manger,
So come with
vous
your
venez
food,
avec bagay
all necessities.
all your medication. So you come with your medication, you come with your essentials to last you, because the thing is the intention in the first instance of sheltering really is between 24 to 48 hours. So après ça nous qu'on fait assessment les bagages la vini cyclone la vini nous qu'on fait assessment whether or not nous ka rester là toujours ou nous ka faire moun aller mais so ça qui fait nous ka di moun là shelter c'est pas un hôtel so pas venir là quoi qu'on respecte un king size bed un queen size bed les maman gros fridge là avec toute qualité bagage ça là on est pour comprendre ça nous ka faire ça qui est nécessaire pour ensure pour faire certain qui là ou là ou agwa qui est anglais safe.
Right, but you have given us a few names of shelters for a few communities and so on. Are there any other publications or any communication, any other forms of communication for the people listening right now as to how they know with the shelters? How do they access the names of the shelters and where do they go?
As we speak, the GIS, Government Information Service, will be publicizing this.
That's on TV?
Yeah, on all available medium.
All available medium.
Via WhatsApp, websites, everything. So Mr. Chad George will be taking care of that.
Good. All right. So you connect la yoni pour aller.
Oui, yoni pour connect la yoni pour aller.
Ou master ne yonde, mais laisse finir yo jaf lombi le comme ça.
Oui, so nous garder moun sa yoni pour venir avec préparation yo, mettez bagay tout moun supposé mettre bagay yo pack là. Ça il y a un monde connaît un monde qui a un sac toujours là avec ça hurricane sac. Il est tout bagay c'est certain bag qui passer ça avec un autre shelter là. Elle a un big boat here parce qu'il est tout bagay préparé.
Right.
So you have everything prepared, but it's important that you prepare because oftentimes people must understand. And I think and the reason why I'm saying it's not a hotel is that people have the expectation that a shelter has to be something that is so, we don't, with the exception of the two regional shelters and some others that we have improved and enhanced. Most of our shelters are schools. So mo le moun open so pile l'école nou ka servi. High school, primary, c'est l'école ça. On pile dire c'est l'école nou ka servi. Et ou c'est ça.
Right, it's a school.
It's a school. So nou ka fait ça nou nécessaire pour manger yo, pour mettre yo dans petit place, dans petit gamme. But people must understand that. So even if for example in a shelter and a little breeze rain touch your arm, I'm not saying that it, but those things happen. So don't, so some people, but look, I wet in. Which one you prefer? Getting a little particle of rain touching your arm.
Or to get hurt.
I would prefer not getting hurt and particle of rain touching me. So that is the kind of thing. So we also have to understand that that is the thing. So people have to know the thing. And one of the things that a lot of people say is that, but the shelter is far. it is far because you want to come when we start to have the heavy impact. No,
But you don't have to wait until
don't have
it
to
gets
wait.
to
Once
that
we
point.
activate, we tell people, depuis nous di shelter ouvert, nous ka kwe ki en 30 minutes, moun si pose en shelter.
Someone said a shelter, c'est pas a 5-star.
Ah!
Shelter, c'est pas un 5-star.
C'est pas un 5-star, ça c'est pas l'hôtel, c'est pas un motel, c'est pas un guest house.
Let me quickly engage Mr. Itoma James for a little bit. Mr. James, I know I mentioned earlier about the dynamic nature of any tropical system. I know it's important to be accurate. I know it's also a challenge to be accurate about the projections and the path and all of that. I know in the past people expect the Met officers to be accurate, but how challenging is it? How confident are you in terms of the accuracy of the predictions of this weather pattern approaching us?
Well, the accuracy and being 100% sure in anything when it comes to weather is near impossible. We work in a field that is predominantly probabilities. What we have to understand is that when we give you probabilities and we tell you what might happen, what is likely to happen, there's still a likelihood that it might not. But our job is really to ensure that the general public is informed of what is possible and what we see. As sure as we can get with the information, we try to communicate that information. The science at this point is improving, but it's still not improving to the point where we can tell you exactly what will happen and when. So for now, what we do is we try our best to communicate that uncertainty to people so that you understand that there's a level of uncertainty. But while we are uncertain about certain things, there's still a level of accuracy, as I would probably say, to the information that we are providing, because we are sure that there's a storm coming and that it could impact Dominica. As to where in Dominica it can impact and how exactly it is going to impact any specific individual or community, we may not be able to tell you that at this point. But Dominica is a very small country, and any sort of impact on the country could affect us all. So we have to take into consideration that. Again, just prepare. We want you to trust the information that we put out, which is why we are really partnering with the ODM at this point in going out and educating people so that when we use different terms and we tell you different things, that you are familiar with these terms and you understand what we mean when we say certain things.
Well, before you leave us, I would like you to give us the report or give us the information in layman's term. Itoma. But there is a caller on the line. Good afternoon. This is Experience Creole /English. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Li mouche tout se, motan ni pi, on shelter se pa on 5-star. Men mon sav net zone bo, mon i sava ki moun an Québec ka ki ya, ni moun, de moun an di dans l'école la depuis a primaria. So mon le sav sa sa.
Oh wow. On 7-star. On forever star. Ou kopan sa moun la made la Mr. Toussaint?
Moi tan le di ni de moun an l'école, moi kana ki l'école ça.
Eh il dit ou savent qui il ka parler ou savent. C'est ça qui problème là, ou pas ça?
OK, moi savent qui vous ka parler. Moi connaître. Non moi comprendre. Oui.
So how do we deal with a situation
that
like
is
that?
That is the other, and that is why we have to continue with continued education and heighten awareness of people to understand. And you mentioned what I said earlier, when we come to a shelter is for 24 to 48 hours in the first instance.
Right.
So between 1 day and 2 days, right? The challenge we have sometimes is even as we speak now is that many people seem to perceive that when they're at a shelter, that once they are after an event, they're placed in a shelter, they become the state responsibility, and so the state have to find a way and a means to provide them
but
with
who is responsible?
requisite shelter.
Which authority
I think
is
you have to
responsible
understand there are a number of factors. There may be persons who may be impacted and they were renting. There may be people whose houses are damaged. There may be people who never had a home, who may have been on the street and all of those things. And so we, over the years, we've been trying our best to see how we can allow people to understand. Because we have to understand each individual situation is different. All right? So you don't just look at a thing blanket and say these people should be out because we don't have any system or anything. There may be a situation. We have had people where we have had to cater for them in shelters and persons who are fire victims.
Okay.
The house will gutted down and all of those things. So we have those situations, and we also have people who seem to be tough and thinking that, unless you don't give certain people a push, they may not want to exit.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to balance it. Cannot just act based on the situation that these people have to get out and they have to get out. No. We have to work collectively and find an amicable solution to ensure that at the end of the day, we have a kind of win-win situation. So I'm aware of the situation that the person is speaking
Okay.
of. But mechanisms have been put in place over the years, trying to see how we can that individual can be accommodated,
Right.
from other means.
Okay. Given the time constraints, I would like Mr. Itoma James to quickly just, go back and, give us some more information. But before you do that, are there any factors, Mr. James, that would maybe contribute to the intensity of this weather system that is approaching in your mind? What are some of the factors you think that would contribute to that?
Well, Kiwana, you wanted me to keep it a bit simple.
Okay, if it's not simple.
You're not asking me to go into the science of it. But to make
because
it,
people say it's been hot for the past
I-
months.
I'm
The temperature, the whatever it is, contributes to the intensity of weather system and so on. So I was just on
but
that.
ever since I was a child, I think you would hear all the older folks tell you, it's hot.
Yeah.
So that means the hurricane season going to be this or it's going
Yeah.
to be that. And when I became older and I actually went to study meteorology, I found out that all my grandmother used to tell me what she used to say about the temperature was true.
Okay.
That if this situation is the atmosphere, the seas are hotter than normal, then you are going to have the potential for intensification of storms. Addition to that, we also have our winds above, the winds high up in the atmosphere, which would normally be stronger to kind of cut off the top of these storms, make them a bit weaker. They are very weak now. So the wind shear scientifically is very weak at this point and is allowing for the systems to be able to develop even more when they want to. This is what the season is going to be like. I think if you look at the prediction for the season, we expect there to be less wind shear. That is if you take into consideration the La Nina, El Nino effect. So this season is predicted to be above normal, way above normal. It's actually predicted to be a season of extremes, where we expect there to be much higher sea surface temperatures and air temperatures than we are accustomed to, which is one of the leading factors in how these systems develop. So to try to break it back down and be a bit more simple for the storm that is approaching, the storm is a couple 1,400 miles to the southeast of us. That is about 2 days away from us, 2 to 3 days away from us. We expect by Monday that we could have some impacts from a potential tropical storm. Sometime today, based on the National Hurricane Center, they expect there to be some development. It could be classified as a tropical depression later today.
Okay, hold a comma here, Mr. James. You said sometime today it will develop into,
Yes.
based on where it is right now.
Yes, based on its current location.
Great. Based on its current location, which is
1,400
miles.
There or thereabouts to the southeast, to the
Okay.
east-southeast
Great.
of the Windward Islands.
Yes.
So if we have that development, we can start seeing that the projections are coming true because they already have it at 100% chance. They are very sure that everything in the atmosphere is saying that this system is going to develop. Where there is the uncertainty is by the time it gets to Dominica, what will it be developed into? How strong it will be at that point.
And at this point in time, it doesn't have a name.
No, it's a tropical wave. It's an
right?
area of interest. Or if you go to the National Hurricane Center, it will be named AL95 or Invest 95. So that is what it is now. It is not named, but is expected to be named by the weekend. So we just need to keep track of the system and understand what could happen. The center of the storm is projected to track anywhere between St. Vincent and St. Lucia currently, based on what the models are showing us. But again, this could shift either a bit north or a bit south, and the level of impacts that it will have on Dominica could change a lot based on where exactly it passes.
Okay.
Either way, we do expect to have some impacts from this system, so we just need to be prepared for it.
Okay.
As to if it is going to pass as a tropical storm or a hurricane, we just need to be cognizant of the fact that something is coming and we need to be prepared.
Keshoy ka vini. Keshoy ka vini. Nou pas sa di plus simple ki sa. Keshoy ka vini, ke wive nou bon lundi. Ti bwen la pli, ti ba mauvais temps, weekend sa la, ani prepare kozo.
Oui.
Simplement, c'est tout nou ka di. That's all we are saying, right, gentlemen?
Yeah.
I'm watching the time. It's 2 minutes after 4. Mr. Fitzroy Pascal, your final words, please, before we end this discussion.
Yeah, we want to ask the general public to, like you said, utilize this weekend to prepare. The National Hurricane Center says that 100% that this will develop. Whether it develops into a storm or hurricane is left to be seen. But like you said, Kishoy Kavini. So we need to be prepared. And if it doesn't happen, if it passes away from us, like 200 miles away from us, that's okay. But we need to be prepared for any eventualities.
Right. Well said, not Mr. Pascal. I keep saying Mr. Pascal. Glenn Roy. Local government commissioner.
Comment on dit c'est préparation. Faire préparation. C'est ça nous ka, ça yon nous ka di moun faire. Faire préparation parce que Keshoy
Kavini.
Faire préparation. Pas oublier ou faire préparation.
Right. Well, yes, Mr. Itoma James, that's the challenge before you end the discussion with us today. That's the challenge today. You are going to learn a very simple phrase in Creole.
Somebody need to translate it for me.
Well, something is coming.
Something
You
is
said it
coming.
yourself, you know.
Ah,
Something
okay.
is coming.
Keshoy Kavini.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So Keshoy Kavini.
That's correct. That's it?
Okay, but yeah, if we want to have just a last word,
Yeah.
we just want the general public to stay aware of what is going on. You can follow the Met Office on Facebook at Met, the Dominica Meteorological Service. We are also on Instagram at Dominica Met. We have a WhatsApp channel that is Dominica Meteorological Service, and you can follow the different bulletins that we will be issuing on our website at weather.gov.dm. We do expect to have some updates during the day, and by tomorrow we would be meeting with, I guess, the different heads to determine whether or not a watch or a warning may be necessary.
Okay.
So we just employ the public to just stay up to date and keep informed as to what is going on.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It was a pleasure speaking to you guys today to disseminate this very important, piece of information about the approaching weather system. Thank you, Monsieur Chan, les hommes, Monsieur Toussaint, Monsieur Pascal, and Monsieur James.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Thanks,
you're
we
welcome.
appreciate it.
Take care now. All right, ça c'est tout pour Experience Creole / anglais, messieurs, mesdames, qu'on nous a parlé, puis c'est nom là, l'office qui a coordonné tant désastre à Dominique, avec chef gouvernement local Dominique, messieurs, mesdames, on moun ka téléphoner, messieurs, nous n'y espoir nous qu'il y ait l'autre opportunité pour vite nous. Allô?
Hello,
Oui.
Kawana,
Yes, ma'am. Yes. How can I help you, ma'am?
you gonna